There was a time when talking about the weather was a casual conversation opener. Now, inclement weather and natural disasters are headlining the 6 o'clock news. The number of disasters, environmental and technological, have risen sharply. They're unpredictable and have had a dramatic impact on the world in terms of both their human and economic costs. Climate-related disasters are currently a bigger cause of population displacement than war and persecution. We would be well advised to prepare ourselves for even more shocking and tragic occurrences to come. If a community is evacuated because of a flood, toxic spill, wildfire, earthquake, or similar calamity, where do people go? Who will provide food and temporary accommodations for them when it is unsafe for them to be in their home or community? How will family members find each other? Where will people get the necessary information and support they need? In Canada, planning and providing care for evacuees and emergency response workers is called Emergency Social Services, or just ESS. Emergency social services are those services that are provided short-term, generally 72 hours, to preserve the emotional and physical well-being of evacuees and response workers in emergency situations. Physical needs are supported with the provision of food, clothing, lodging, or first aid. ESS workers provide emotional support for evacuees by actively listening to the concerns and needs of evacuees, assisting people to contact their loved ones, and providing accurate and timely information about the disaster situation. These services generally take place at a reception center, although ESS can be provided on a small scale without the activation of a reception center. These small activations are referred to as Level 1 responses. Over the next few modules, we'll be talking about Level 2 and 3 responses. When a reception center is activated, the same services are provided at both levels, it's just the scale of the response that is different. Reception centers are locations designated in the local authority's ESS plan as safe gathering places for people displaced from their homes as a result of an emergency or disaster. At the Reception Center, or RC, individuals can register and receive emergency social services, as well as information about the emergency situation. The Reception Center has often been referred to as an evacuation center, registration center, or disaster relief center. The commonly accepted term, reception center, describes the initial function of the center, to receive evacuees who have been forced from their homes as a result of an emergency or disaster. The most commonly used facilities are those owned by the local authorities, such as recreation centers or arenas. However, many other buildings can be used, such as school or college gymnasiums, church halls, fairground buildings, hotel conference rooms, and private function halls. In the event a safe, suitable facility is not available, for example, following an earthquake, a site may be selected and tents or trailers may be erected where ESS workers can provide the same emergency social services for evacuees in locations such as municipal parks, campgrounds, school playing fields, and parking lots. During emergency response, the Emergency Social Services Plan is activated under the direction of the local ESS director, the emergency program coordinator, or their designate. Whether or not Reception Center will be open depends on many factors, including the size of the emergency, the number of evacuees, availability of the facilities, and the availability of trained ESS workers. Where the RC is located will depend on the location of the emergency or disaster. For instance, an RC wouldn't be opened if the entire town is being threatened by a wind-driven interface wildfire or major flooding. In that case, a neighboring community that is not affected by the same event would be asked to host the reception center. Emergency social services are those services that may be required to meet the basic survival needs of people who have experienced a disaster. A reception center is the facility where the services are made available. ESS assistance is usually available for the first 72 hours following the disaster. Should further assistance be required, a request for extension of services is sent through the local authority Emergency Operations Center to Emergency Management BC for authorization. Services available through a reception center may be provided directly to evacuees or by issuing a referral form to the appropriate service providers. Services may include some or all of the following: food, Immediate food services may be made available at the reception center, at a separate group lodging facility, or by referral form to local restaurants. Lodging. Accommodation for a large number of evacuees may be provided at a group lodging facility separate from the reception center, or a referral form may be issued for either local commercial accommodation or billeting in a private home. Clothing and personal care items. Evacuees who do not have enough time to pack before leaving home may receive a referral form to purchase essential clothing and basic personal care items. Reuniting of family members. Reception center workers may use a paper-based registration system to help family members find each other. Payphones, cell phones, or internet services may also be made available in the reception center, so evacuees who do not have their own devices can contact family and friends directly. In disasters where regular communication systems are not operating, emergency radio communications may also be set up to assist with family reunification. Emotional support. Specially trained ESS workers, Associated Service Agency staff, or volunteers, or spiritual support workers are often on hand at the reception center to provide emotional support to evacuees. Assisting people with special needs. Reception center workers will ensure appropriate assistance or services for evacuees with special needs. First aid and health services. Evacuees with health concerns may be referred to a health service provider at the reception center, if available on site, or to other community health services. Multicultural services. Communities with diverse cultural populations will often make arrangements to provide translation services at the reception center, as well as accommodating other cultural needs, such as special dietary requirements. Pet care and other services as needed. Evacuees arriving at the reception center with pets may find services are available on site or at a nearby location to care for their pets while they're being interviewed. Which services are provided will depend on the nature, length, and complexity of the emergency or disaster, and how much time people are given before the evacuation.